first, behold her Dungeons and Daisies. Some of you might know I used to be a floral designer, and now I'm the social media manager for D&D. And so I thought it'd be fun to design some flowers and talk about D&D with some awesome D&D ladies. Our first guest is the lovely Jen Vaughn.
Hello, my name is Jen Vaughn. I am a tabletop and role-play designer, and I'm really excited because Lysa doesn't know this, but I'm only good at keeping plants alive that I can eat. Oh. So I've got what they call the death hand.
Oh my god, props!
I'm a little worried, but I was told I couldn't kill something within an hour, so that's true.
You know what? These are all cut. They're all basically dead already. We are just taking their beautiful corpses and arranging them in a loving fashion.
Ooh, okay.
And this is a show for necromancers. If you're not a necromancer, please leave. Sound is crackly. Oh no. Is sound crackly for other people? Okay. Okay, y'all. This is first time live production. So I'm going to stand up. I'm going to get real close to the screen. Now let's make sure the right mic is being picked up. This is what happens when you don't have a producer, you guys.
I will show off what Lysa's put in front of me. A regular pair of scissors, titanium though. Tabor, I'm gonna assume hedge clippers, but with some safety strap. Sorry, I already know this is gonna be kinky. And then this clear see-through floral tape. You know what? She's just going to explain it all correctly in a minute.
That was really good. Is it better now? All right, y'all. I had two audio things happening. So just really quiet now. Oh my god. Okay. See, this is why I was lamenting that I didn't do an audio check. But okay.
We're also drinking the finest Seattle's public water. So hope everyone's hydrated, just like a flower. You know, when Lysa mentioned daisies, I was immediately looking around for the white and yellow daisies, and I think these purple ones are daisies. I'm going to be real good at this, is what I'm saying.
Okay, how about now, everybody? Did I make it louder or more quiet? Thank you, everyone, for being our production team. Thank you for the tips, mimics, and gimmicks. I also very much like your name. Mm-hmm. Thank you, TK, for believing on us. And also, thank you for liking our pillows. They are on the necromancer theme. All right, everyone says sound is fine, so we're going to proceed. Flowers also survive on energy drinks, because then I'm hydrated like a flower. So actually, fun fact, if you don't get like little packets of flower food from your florist or from the grocery store, but you want to give your flowers a little bit of oomph, use extremely, extremely diluted bleach. And a tiny bit of Sprite, like a little capful of Sprite, and that sugar will feed the flowers. The bleach will keep the water clean. So not I mean, maybe an energy drink would work. I'm not responsible if your flowers die.
I feel like energy drinks have bleach in them already. That's why they taste terrible.
Yes, so a little bit of energy drink, some laundry detergent. Listen to nothing I'm saying. Okay, so the show is Dungeons and Daisies, but it's Behold Her Presents. So those of you who don't know, I'm actually the host of a podcast called Behold Her Podcast, which is all about women in tabletop RPGs. And so that's why we've got lovely ladies designing flowers with me. Ooh, clove latte, flower health potion recipe drop. Mm-hmm. Yes, surprise recipes as well. So I figured, okay, we've got floral design and D&D. I figured we'd start with a little bit of floral design.
Let's do it.
Some D&D in between, floral design along the way.
I'll put my inspirational skull that I brought with me away.
You can put it like strategically like right. There we go. Just in case someone who tunes in later doesn't see it, they know what we're all about.
Absolutely. All
okay.
Right.
So I believe that you had already started to show some of the supplies that we have here, but we have vases full of water. The outside is nice and dry, especially around the rim. That's going to be important in a second. Oh. We have some floral clips. Just regular old scissors, and some clear floral tape. It's Oasis brand. They make a lot of floral design supplies. The kind that we have here is 1/4 inch floral tape, but I actually really like the 1/2 inch. I just couldn't find it outside of an official professional floral supply store. So I'm actually going to try doubling up. But so the reason we have tape is because we could go ahead and start sticking flowers in here. And there are actually methods to doing that without adding any extra structure. But when you're starting out floral design, and you want your flowers to kind of stick in place where you design them, not move around or fall or slip while you put more flowers in, adding a little bit of a beginning structure is very helpful. And this is the first technique that I learned, even before I learned hand-tied bouquets, which I feel like most people know when you're like spinning flowers in your hands.
Most people. Okay. I was like, it's like playing the banjo. There's Scruggs method. There's a couple different methods to doing this. So, who taught you this method?
So I learned floral design in a little. I'm gonna cut off this little non-sticky part. I learned floral design at Blue Jasmine in New Jersey. It's a really nice tiny floral boutique. And I loved that their designs felt very like natural and their color palettes were really beautiful. And so I basically went there and begged for an apprenticeship, and I started working full-time as a floral designer. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a grid, and I'm going to do 3 strips by 3. Okay. So first I guess I'll do one in the middle.
I'm going to rotate these.
And this is special waterproof. Oh, yeah, sorry, that's no way. Waterproof tape. So if it's already wet on the rim, it actually won't stick so well. But if you get it there on the rim when it's dry, then it's good. And so Jen can see because she's up close, but I'm doubling up 2 things of tape right next to each other to kind of mimic that 1/2 inch thick tape that I like. Emily Smith, yes, of course, the most common methods.
Yes, we all know.
Side eyes, yeah. We all know.
Yeah. Everyone knows that I really love Lysa, so anything I'm saying is only I'm just the proxy for the audience's disgust at not knowing enough about flowers. So,
does anyone in chat? I know. Snapdad mentioned being a floral designer. Does anyone else have any experience with floral design, professionally or as a hobby? It's a very soothing Zen hobby.
Is everyone just like me and they only make vegetables that they can eat?
A salad is sort of like a flower arrangement.
It is. I mean, I also feel like it is the more necromantic thing of growing. Like, you take the power from the vegetables.
Ooh.
Versus
Oh, that would be like if a necromancer ate zombies, though. That's not how I play my necromancer.
I guess I'm thinking about, like, turning, like, sugars into... I'm talking about the Krebs 12-step cycle. You know, something everyone knows about turning... about science and how we process food. See, I can do it, too.
So as we finish this grid, another really important thing I learned right at the start of learning floral design was about color palettes. So when you're picking your recipes for your floral arrangements, picking the flowers you're going to use, how do you know that it's going to look beautiful at the end? Color is a really big part of that. I mean, there's other factors too, like shape, whether the flower is more of a line or more of like a face, and all of that as well. Texture, but color is a very basic building block. And the rule I learned was that, I mean, you can do monochromatic and then everything will match everything, like all white or all pink. If you choose 2 colors, make sure you have at least 2 flower varieties in each color. So at least 2 different pink flowers, at least 2 different purple flowers.
Mm-hmm. Does that extend to sort of flower shape as well, or is that the next thing you're going to talk about?
Well, I kind of like having a variety of flower shapes. And a variety of textures, I find in general, is nice. But with colors, you'll find if you add, like, if it's all pink and then you just have purple roses, they're going to seem like very odd, like just giant purple polka dots all over your arrangement.
Okay.
And it blends a lot better when you have like just like a secondary purple flower. Just kind of blend it in a little bit.
That's great. So always choose 2.
Yes.
I'm going to use this knowledge for evil. I will romance with flowers.
Okay. So, I know everyone's making fun of me, but some people will teach you this grid technique like we just did.
I love it.
But the secret is to seal the grid when you're done.
Oh my God.
So you take the tape horizontally and you do it around the edge. That way the ends don't come off.
Just want everyone to know that Lysa's looks amazingly perfect. Like the
No,
edges are
yours looks
square.
so good.
No, I said yours looks good, and then mine looks like a lopsided, like someone tried to stretch like an image out and like just pulled one corner in Photoshop. Also, these Lazy Susans are very good.
Yeah. I was in the floral design studio I worked with. We had really fancy like marble Lazy Susans.
Okay.
So I almost splurged and got those for the show, and then I was like, there's 4 of them a year. I need to chill a little bit. So now I'll tilt it forward a little bit. I think you can kind of see, maybe if it's against the black of my, yeah, there we go. You can see the grid there that we've created, and that's going to make some structure as we put flowers in. All right, so I talked about there being different methods of floral design. There is a hand-tied method. That's what you'll see with a lot of wedding bouquets.
Mm-hmm.
It's easiest to see if it's all one flower type. So when you're learning, you typically start learning the technique with roses because they have a really sturdy, uniform stem. And the stem always goes in at the same angle, and then you spin the flowers same angle, and that creates the structure. There's other methods where you'll do the grid and you want to make a very symmetrical arrangement, and so it's like you kind of look at the points of an equilateral triangle and you start building little, almost like tiny mini bouquets in each of those little trios of flowers that are all the same. Because we're using such a tall vase, and I also feel like you've not done floral design, but you're advanced because you're an artiste.
Oh, sure, okay.
We're going to use a method I haven't actually taught someone else yet. So you're kind of like a fun like guinea pig,
Okay.
in that way, but like a human.
Okay, yeah. Like a human. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I've been
okay.
to Peru where they eat guinea pigs.
Oh,
So I'm
no.
a little worried.
Why?
Now.
Oh my gosh, this theme of like eating things. Are you? Did you have breakfast?
I did. Apparently not enough. No.
Wait, why are people talking about pie?
The lattice work.
Oh,
I think.
okay. Yeah.
I almost said
Everyone's
that.
hungry. Please, if you've not had breakfast or lunch, depending on what time zone you're in, please eat. It's important to nourish yourself.
Just be careful. Don't eat flowers because there's certain ones that are edible, but.
Yeah, so we were talking about salads, and there are edible flowers, and like I think marigolds are edible. Please, again, no one listen to anything I'm saying. Don't eat a marigold just in case it's not.
Correct.
But let's say it was marigolds. I went to Whole Foods and they had like the little herb packets, and it had just like a bunch chunky marigolds in there. And so I was like, I'm gonna make a beautiful salad for my boyfriend. I'm gonna put flowers on it. It's gonna be great. The flowers didn't come with instructions, so I just like put the whole marigolds, and it looked gorgeous. And then he was like, do I have to eat it? And I was like, yes, I bought them and they were fancy and special.
It's all part of the bouquet that will be in your mouth soon.
So he just took the whole flower and like spit it out. I think you're supposed to cut it and just use like the little petals.
Leaves, yeah. Yeah, but that stem is kind of nasty actually.
Yeah, so I'm Dusty, if you're listening, I'm sorry. And we're not going to eat these arrangements
today. I'm seeing
today.
No.
So the method I'm about to teach, I've heard referred to as, I believe it's side-to-side floral design. It has a few different philosophies. Feels like too lofty a word, but I can't think of another word. It's the idea that most floral arrangements, you're like struggling to make every single angle of the floral arrangement gorgeous, which is a very, very difficult task. Most are going to have 2 sides that look really good. So this method embraces that. It also, rather than making a very round, symmetrical floral arrangement, is trying to make like a fun shape, with movement. And so you start with your line flowers and your leaves. So you'll see,
which again, everyone knows what those are.
Yeah, so leaves are easy. We know leaves, right?
Do I just grab some of the same?
Yeah, so grab a little branch. And then I'm going to grab one of my line flowers. I gave us different ones. So
is a line flower a tall one?
Yeah, so yours is going to be right here. It's that. Okay. I gave you snapdragons.
Oh my gosh.
I gave myself stock. These are 2 really basic line flowers. And so what we're going to do is we're going to start putting flowers just on the edges. So for me, it'd be over here and over here, each side.
Okay.
And I'm going to start creating the shape that I want. So I'm going to do some fun like cheerleading moves. So you might want to create one where it has like arms that go like this, I was like, I'm a sideways V. Or like, I just...
Okay, or an upwards V?
Oh, an upwards V, or maybe the other direction. And I would go with what you're feeling from your leaves. So, like, I have this leaf that has this branch that's already, actually this one's really fun. It's tall, and then it has these, like, little curvy parts that already go down. So I'm going to embrace that.
Okay, so
and probably have one of my sides kind of curving down like that.
Yeah, I think I've got a lot of, like, movement, like, in the wind over here on this one.
Yeah.
So I'm feeling that one. Now, do I just clip this?
Yeah,
okay.
So we're going to use our floral clips for these. And so this is one branch, but I can use this other branch for something else. So I'm going to clip it in such a way that I preserve the second branch. And if stuff just falls on the floor, that is fine.
Oh, it definitely didn't break in half.
Yeah, just let leaves fall on the floor and I'll just sweep up later. And so you don't want all these leaves, all these extra leaves in your water. That's going to gunk up your water. And also, as the stems suck up the water, it's going to start, like, wasting its time on these leaves. So we just want to get rid of them. Okay. So I'm going to go like this. I'm just going to strip the leaves off. Very fun and satisfying.
Now, I might have made mine a little too short, it looks like. But
yeah, but you could also make yours go in at a little bit more of a softer angle like this. Okay. Yeah. And so once you start getting leaves doing the things that you want them to do, you can add more greens in addition to this really pretty eucalyptus that we have. I've given us each a couple little ferns. Let me grab one.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah. These guys. So you can add them now or add them later.
Yeah, I love it. All right, so I'm going to add it up to the other edge.
Yeah.
And there's nothing to...
Yeah, these guys are pretty clean. So my fern is kind of doing the same gentle shape that my eucalyptus is. So I'm going to add mine in addition to that, just to emphasize that shape.
I'm going to grab the other one because, again, my death hand is working. So, there we go. There we go. Yep, there we go. All right.
So for the next few minutes, we'll just kind of like build the shapes. I am probably going to build like a soft V, going this way and going this way. I'm going to see if I have a green that'll be a little steeper, because I like having like very asymmetrical feeling shapes.
I think I have one that's doing a hard up and then a soft side.
I love that.
So, there we go. So the tiny bit of flower knowledge I have from going to high school in Texas, where we lived on the land from the Kickapoo and Wichita Native American tribes, is that Texas, for some reason, has 6 state flowers.
What? That's greedy.
It's not just the bluebonnet, and they were the first state to plant them next to highways, I guess in a beautification attempt, but like it's still like the saddest thing I know and the only thing I know. So that's been flower knowledge with your guest, Jen.
Alright, I think I'm going to add in one of my line flowers.
Okay.
I don't know if you're going to have to worry about this with your snapdragons, but my stalk similarly has all these little leaves. And so these I'm going to pluck off all of them because I want the flowers to get all of the water.
Okay, so I've got a few down here, so I might take
take those off too. And then if they're not in the water of the vase, then they're not getting the water all dirty, which is nice. I'm going to keep a few at the top.
I love how the ground is like a hair salon, but like sweeter. It's... Alright, so, and then would this also go in an edge, or?
Let's see. I would, since this is so bare, and it'll just look like a hard stick, I'd maybe bring it down a little bit so it's kind of couched in those leaves. And what I do is I'll hold it up to the edge of the table.
Oh, and then cut the...
Yeah, and that helps you make sure you get like that exact length that you want.
Question, was I supposed to cut the bottoms of the greenery?
You don't have to, but giving everything a fresh cut is a good idea. That'll make it last longest. Like even some of our roses are looking a teeny bit droopy. But I think they're going to perk up a lot with their fresh cut.
Where were you, chat? You saw me do it. Or not do it. Okay, cut at the same thing.
Oh, Jack learned about different edible flowers at the restaurant he worked at. What flowers are people able to eat? Or what would you recommend? Because are some tasty and some gross? Do they have a peppery flavor?
I mean, I know fiddleheads. Back when I lived in Vermont, we would look for those before they would unfurl into full ferns. Mm-hmm. And they're actually a little peppery too. And you would saute them. And they were very good. Do little foraging parties. But yeah, Jack.
Snapdad is asking, are you cutting on an angle? Yeah, you do. You sort of cut at an angle for a number of reasons. One of them being once this vase is it's not super full right now. You can see the stems, but once it's very full, having that little sharp spike is going to get the flowers in exactly the spot that you want, and you can fit more. For flowers with really, really thick stems, like a hydrangea, some people will even just shave the stems parts that you're not going to see. Mm-hmm. Well, people are learning so much about plants and foods. So as we kind of start building onto these different sides, and as you can see, I'm kind of adding more spots. I'm adding in my line flowers. I'm probably going to add all 3 of my line flowers. I have 3 of them in. But maybe we should talk a little bit of Dungeons and Dragons.
What?
Yes. So Jen,
yes.
I don't think I've actually ever asked you, even though I've known you for a bit, how did you get into D&D?
Oh, well, growing up and moving around and not having a lot of friends, I would sometimes, I did a lot of theater. I would occasionally sit in on some games just to listen. I wasn't really into it, or at least at the time, and how people were playing, if you know what I'm talking about, rolling for the barmaid and stuff. So I did a lot of dinner theater where I'd make my own corsets out of that new whalebone that's called lumber stripping, and we go to the Renaissance fair. But as I try to shove this in, and I sort of made my own version of a role-playing game with Piers Anthony's Xanth series, because there was a beautiful illustrated book that came out in the late 80s, early 90s that my painting teacher gave me. And so this needs to be a little shorter. I think these are 2 equal.
Yeah, you want to have different heights.
Yeah.
Excellent.
See, I'm learning. And then I met Kat Kruger, who is my dungeon master on D20 Dames now, but I had been wanting to play for a while, and then we got together with our partners and our friend Jason, who ran some of the games, and they were all, I found out, Will Doyle games.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I was like, can you send me those? Because I was already wanting to write them, so I could study them, and then I was like, oh, nice. And I was like, oh man, these are all Will Doyle. Okay, so I learned a lot from the master.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, Will Doyle writes a whole bunch of the hardcover D&D adventures that you probably know and love. With Tomb of Annihilation, he had a really heavy hand in. So if you TPK'd in that, it's Will's fault.
Yeah, but it was a very slippery slope. It was immediately, podcast, started having multiple games, too many games, home brewing, and then writing because it was addictive. And, you have a lot of fun with friends. It's getting to know, I started playing with my mom at home when I go back for the holidays, and my high school best friend. You're interacting in ways we hadn't done before. It was very nice.
So you said you kind of started that RPG. So would you say you kind of started game mastering?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Immediately. or before I even got to D&D. There's no such thing as too many games. Thank you, Cage. Except when you don't have to sleep, right? Mm-hmm. We were trying to figure out when we were going to play our home game.
Yeah. It's we didn't have to sleep. That opens up so many more hours.
Yeah. You're so beautiful. Everyone needs to know, you can already tell who is a professional and who is here creating a mess.
Well, I'm going to start. So you can see I picked these leaves because they kind of have, let me see if I do it on this side. They have this sort of shape where they have a gentle slope downwards. And so I had this stock flower that kind of was doing that similar shape. So I put it in at an angle where it would mimic that. Mm-hmm. And so it makes this side very distinct. And then on this side, I wanted more of an upward angle so that it's kind of creating this really harmonious curve that goes like this.
It's like it's got its
like
own
that's a
story.
very classic shape.
Yeah.
In floral design.
Mine is still. Should I get rid of this little guy so it's a little bit more?
Oh yeah. I love that you are not afraid to prune your greens. Some people, like, they don't want to feel like they're wasting a piece of the green, but make the green do what you want it to. I don't know if anybody saw, but I pulled off all these tiny little arms off of one of my greens because I just wanted the part that was sticking more upward. But I'm saving them. I can use them around the edge of the glass just to make sure I've got, like, some little natural pieces in the front.
All right, so we have used our line flowers and our, I already forgot the terms, our greenery.
Yeah, and our greenery.
So
what I've started to do is I've started to build little greens kind of off of my side parts, and I'm moving more to the front. And probably what I'm going to do immediately next is start bringing in my face flowers. So those are things like a rose, things that are like a ball.
Oh, okay. I was like these are the ones that you want to have doing the marketing. Okay.
I mean, I think all the flowers are beautiful. Carnations are really good face flowers. I've got some of those. I've got these like fun asters that are like aster daisies that are like in little like chunks. They'll be good for like filling in some spaces.
That's good. I told them earlier that those were the daisies. And
they were. Yeah, they're aster daisies. Okay. All right, so I don't think we have to deal with any, these seem to have been dethorned already, but I'm going to take the leaves off of the roses. You'll also see there's, these are like these nice purple roses. I can't tell if you can see them on the screen, but in person there's some outer petals that look a little bit funky. They've got some like greeny beige. These are the guard petals. This was when it was a bud, the petals that were on the outside. And so actually, sometimes I think they're really beautiful and I keep them. These particular ones I deem unworthy. So I am just plucking them off.
It's got this like dusky gray lavender in the middle. Yeah. It's quite beautiful.
This is a very, very pretty rose.
I love it.
For those of you, I always recommend going to your local florist if you can. They'll probably have some really special flowers, and the way the flowers are cared for will make them last longer. But if you're getting some grocery store roses, I would go into that bunch, grab a flower and squeeze. And you can kind of tell the firmer flowers are the ones that have not, everyone's deeming them unworthy. I'm sorry, Rose, you're beautiful. The firmer flowers haven't opened all the way. Those are going to last longer for you. So I tried to get us a little firmer bunch.
So now we can squeeze flowers and fruits like perverts at stores. I love it.
So I'm going to put this flower in,
lower.
And I want it lower at this angle, a little closer to the lip, but not like too far in. And it's kind of like building on this little line that I have here, the purple. So I hold the rose up to the glass. I see where the stem is going to hit the glass. I'm going to cut it. So don't be afraid of cutting it like this short for this long vase, because it's going to go in at an angle. As long as the stem is in water, you're good.
Now what if my vase story or arrangement story is too overarching? Is that too symmetrical though? I feel like if it went in the middle of these.
I don't think necessarily.
Or would the side like kind of where it's got a little more space?
I would start building on this side here, because remember how I talked about this method is really about there being two faces that look really good?
That's true.
These are the kind of like the borders, and then this is going to be one of the faces that you're building.
I will start over on this side.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Ooh. Hadil. Tweety Such up in this chat, making it all Tweety Such.
Hello, Hadil.
Snapdad says there's a tiger rose that has purple striding patterns.
Oh my gosh.
That's tremendously cool. Are those natural striding patterns, or is that a dyed rose?
That's right, because that's like a science experiment that's pretty cheap, I'm assuming. Is it like to put the carnation in water and then like dye the water?
So there are people who dye flowers, and at grocery stores you'll often see dyed carnations. I can usually tell because the stems will look kind of funky because the dye
will come through
in there as well.
Also speaking of carnations, do these have bud petals as well, or
not as much as the roses.
Okay, yeah.
Now I've put that carnation, I've given it a little bit of height here, as you can see, but there's some space between it and the rose, so I'm probably going to sink some greens in between that. One of my floral design teachers or mentors once told me that a mentor of theirs said, leave room for the birds to fly. You don't have to like crush it so that it's like flower exactly next to flower, exactly next to flower. But I also am guilty often of leaving too much room for the birds to fly. I'm told you're not supposed to see through the arrangement, so I'm gonna add some greens in.
And I was acting very professional when I cut that flower too short and just shoved it in momentarily. Got a new one. And I will revisit the too short carnation in a moment. God, these are gorgeous. Good job. Yeah, it's January here. Good job finding fresh flowers, Lysa.
Rage Cage is asking, do y'all have the vase on a simple turntable? Yes, I have little bamboo Lazy Susans. They're pretty cheap on just Amazon, like $7, $8 maybe. And that makes it really easy, so you don't have to keep turning your arrangements around, the vase around.
Was this an optional greenery, or is this for later? Is this a fill?
Oh, you can absolutely go ahead and use that for greenery. That I would start like chopping into different usable pieces. So when did you decide to make the leap from like homebrewing, RPGs, and D&D and DMing, and actually writing them down for other people? Because there's a distinction there, being a dungeon master and being a designer.
Pretty fast, actually.
Oh, yeah? That was great.
Coming from the world of, like, comics and cartooning, I was like, everything for posterity. Like, nothing is wasted. I mean, obviously, sometimes some things become just, like, small encounters for filler. But it was pretty fast. I guess not all of them are on the DM's Guild, if that's what you're asking.
Oh, okay.
Like, she's just, like, calling me out when she asked me to be a guest. So... Yeah, and since I, like, write weekly now, basically, I have about 20, well, no, now, like, 30 stories that I am slowly, like, I've started to delegate, like, doing, like, layout to people, and also doing some of the art, because I realized, it's like, we could all make some money, and it's, like, a lot more collaborative this way, just, like, playing, instead of being, like, I must do everything, which is, you know, sort of how I like to do it, so...
Nice. So your first one was, or that I know of at least, was the Experiments of Dr. Skulldile?
Yeah, that was for the Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica, actually. So then I chose a non-Forgotten Realms setting immediately, which was like, good job. But I also did I've been doing some home games, and, you know, those just sort of like slowly grow. I've got a new one coming out called Cast No Shadow.
Oh yeah, wait. I have really cool production stuff, and can I reveal?
Yeah. Sorry.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. I got so excited.
I thought this was like the gentle segue. So
okay. Like, sorry. Forget I said that, chat. Please, gentle segue.
It's a Cast No Shadow, and it's actually got a very floral cover.
Is that so? I wish we could see it.
Oh my goodness. Well, Kayla Klein drew it, so maybe...
Oh my god! So that beautiful.
This is the first time we've shown the full cover, and it is quote, a very cute and very gay hedge maze adventure. And I say quote, I meant myself, and I'm already talking. So it was very nice to work with Kayla on this cover, or tell her basically what I wanted, and then she did. I was like, you choose between these, and she was like, clearly the kissing. So it will be coming out Saturday, February 8th, just in time for your Galentine's or your V-Day adventures. And it also has some, as some people know, I'm really into puzzles, so maybe too much. And, I can see I'm already falling behind on this. Okay, and it's got, I would say, like, when you reach the hedge maze, there's, like, I have 9 different puzzles, and you basically could choose 3, so that way the DM could play it multiple times and have, like, a sense of novelty going on, because... sometimes you play a game and you're like, boy, this game, like, well, I don't know. How do you feel about playing the same games over and over and over?
I actually don't mind it. I really like it as a DM. Because for like the Adventurers League, I'm used to running the same adventure over and over again over the course of a weekend, maybe like 6 times. And every table does different things. Or one table, in one of my adventures, typically people go to this like Dr. Frankenstein character's lab. But one group was like, oh heck no, that looks scary. We're gonna go to the town. So I had to invent like this whole other encounter and these other characters who I loved. And then in future runnings of that game, I made it much more of a choice. You could choose either.
Yeah.
And so I'm very glad that group did that so that I could develop that.
The first game I ran for my mom, Ready, Set, Ice, which is slowly being laid out right now, was like a winter town adventure, and I made like a full town, and then every time people only want to go to like the tavern because it's karaoke night, and and it looks like a winter wonder, like everything's ice inside, and then like they always want to like go bust up on the local toughs who are being jerks, and I was like, okay, I guess I have to invent like a sheriff character, there's a lot of, what's the normal DM stuff that you do on the fly, that I'm like, maybe I add this character in as an option, but yeah, there's that line between adding too much, and then letting the dungeon master, run their own table.
Yeah. Oh, we have questions.
Oh, yeah.
If people have questions for Jen or myself, definitely ask them in chat. We are watching. Grinning Greg asks, have you ever used monsters in D&D that have flowers? Flowering dryads or treants, yellow musk zombies, maybe vampire roses? Is that a thing?
Vampire roses? That is gorgeous.
Is that like a thing from another edition? Or did you just make that up? Because I am obsessed with that.
I feel like, so Vampire Rose would probably sit in a vase and then slowly absorb the energy from all the other flowers. So there's only one pristine rose left in my mind.
And I imagine that if you get pricked by the rose, something happens for sure.
I definitely have a wood in one of mine, which is this, it's an ancient of the forest, and they usually have like it's created by the heart of someone who has died.
Oh.
So it's sort of a, I don't know, a combination of like it's not like a zombie, but it's like it's a beautiful, beautiful dryad. A vampire rose with teeth on the stem.
Yeah,
they really do. Come on. That is right in front of us. How could we forget that? Okay.
All right. I see Emily has a question. How do you come up with ideas for puzzles? Do you mostly rework things you've seen before, or how do you get inspiration? Like the puzzles that you did in our Heart and Lightning game, on your big dungeon show, which I don't know if you want to talk, if other people know what that is, or what's Big Dungeon Show?
Oh, what a beautiful segue. So every Tuesday at 7 p.m. PT on twitch.tv/vvspa, where I work, very, very spaceship, I run a 2-hour streaming show. So every month we do a different RPG, and we have done Dungeons and Dragons, of course.
Yeah, that was my first time on.
Yeah, Lisa actually ran a game that's available on the DMs Guild called Rings of Go Home.
Oh, well, it's the 12 Days of Midwinter.
Yeah.
And they're each based off of the, oh my god, I'm blanking on the name of the song.
The 12 Days of Christmas.
The part. Thank you. I was gonna sing it, but thank you for saving me. And it was the one Celeste Conowitch wrote about 5 golden rings.
Yeah. So anyway, sorry. Long story short, I have this show, and so we play games like Apillion, where everyone plays a dragon. Dread, that's a horror setting where you use a Jenga tower. And Lisa was on the Heart and Lightning game by Flowers Chong. From Malaysia, and they were playing Teenage Gods stripped of their powers in a rock and roll band. And I do, thank you, Emily, love a good puzzle. I've been trying to work in more visuals. So what I usually do, there are 10 sort of basic puzzles. Like there's visual puzzles, there's word puzzles where you can use cipher shifts, there's tangrams where you're trying to like fit objects within another thing. So you can classify things like that. And yes, Lisa's flower is very beautiful. Mine is starting to look like a monster face. But when I make puzzles, I'm trying to fit sort of whatever the theme of the game is. So the game I'm playing for February is Mothlight. So it's about a bunch of post-fall sci-fi game where everything, or where the world is sort of plagued by giant moths, written by Justin Ford, or created by Justin Ford. So I'm working on, you're going to guess, probably a lot of buggy type games that are going to be kind of disgusting for some people. So I usually try to go for a visual that could be deceiving or it could work in right into the game. Does that help, Emily? I'm assuming so. All right, so what am I've got this like hollow right here, right?
Okay, yeah.
I created nothing on this side.
That's not true. You've got, on this side.
Yeah.
I was like, what are you talking about? There's flowers right there.
This one looks great.
Yeah, so you've got some flowers happening here. So you've kind of got this like slope that you're creating. So I wonder if on the other side, you want to have some flowers like a little bit more here, and then fill in something here close to the edge as well.
So I shouldn't just put like tall ones right here. I should kind of like, okay, both. What about these lovely?
Yes, these are alstromerias.
Yes.
They're one of the first flowers whose name I learned when I was learning floral design, and it was like Alstroemeria, Scabiosa. It felt like a bunch of wizard spells.
Scabiosa. Like, I would only use those.
Does Scabiosa sounds like it's a curse.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I curse you, Scabiosa.
I want people to know what's happening when I send them a floral arrangement.
So yeah, these are good as filler. So you asked what's a face flower versus a line flower. So these are very good as kind of like they've got these little faces, which is a little spray of flower, but they also have these individual little stems, and that curve in fun ways. So they're kind of a little bit of both, I feel like. But because they're like on these tiny stems and a little bit lighter, I feel like you could have it a little bit higher if you're looking for a flower to do that with.
They're also they're just very sculptural. They're all sculptural, but like, what are these?
Snapdragons.
Okay, that's what I thought. That's what I remembered from literally 20 minutes ago. Yeah, between those two, I feel like, I love the round flowers are nice and very classic, but I do feel like, you need these other ones too. Slowly
something
block
with
out
just all round flowers is just going to be a ball of flowers, right? No
Which also
movement.
looks good if you're trying to do just a ball of white flowers.
Oh, that's true.
With 2 ears on top, and then you make like a dog face with like.
What a delight! Widsith Atopos says this sort of feels like a preview of spring. It does. I'm glad that you guys can all join us for a little bit of springtime.
Whoops. So, Lisa.
Yes.
We didn't talk about how you got into floral. Well, I mean, you apprenticed at this place. And what was your, I assume because it was on the East Coast, right?
Yes.
Yes. So, tell me about flowers. Do most places try to work with local stuff? Or do they also, I'm sure they fly and stuff, or they have hot houses, do you have a preference?
So the East Coast, so there are a lot of flowers grown on the West Coast. And actually the Pacific Northwest has a lot of the country's really lovely flower farms. So we are in flower country. The East Coast, less so. We have some farms. And it's really nice in the late spring and summer when we have local flowers to work with. But a lot of the flowers that we got in at the shop are international, actually. That are flown in every week. And would walk into the store and there'd be just like a stack of boxes to the ceiling. And then I would be in charge of conditioning flowers. If you're thinking of working in a flower shop, that's probably where you're going to start. And that is, you remember how I talked about taking leaves off of the flowers? That's what I've been doing behind my arrangement this whole time, plucking little leaves. Basically, at a floral shop, there would be someone in charge of doing that to every flower the second it comes in, so they will last the longest, stay the freshest. Roses, you take the leaves and the thorns off, and then you arrange them in your case.
So it's different from training like a D20 to always land on the 20 side.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just slightly. I also brought my dice and my... Excuse me, this looks real good. I brought this. So when do we start rolling to see which one we're gonna... I don't know. Do you roll at all when you do stuff to see...
With floral arrangement, you do not need dice. I know that seems very strange.
What? I don't understand.
Yeah, I know. It's confusing. I should have started with that, really. I'm sorry, guys.
Carried that all the way up.
Witsith asks, what flowers are most difficult to work with? That is a good question. There are, I guess it depends. There are a lot of flowers that are extremely fleeting. Like there's a mimosa flower. There are these really, really cute, like Dr. Seuss, fluffy yellow pom-pom balls. Like just a million of them on a branch. Adorable. I love working with them. But you have to think about what they're going to look like in literally like 2 days. Those will dry out.
Yeah.
And so that can be kind of frustrating sometimes. I'd say those are hard to work with. There are different types of orchids. So I'm taking, I don't know if you have any on that particular branch, but my branch had some with really long stems.
Okay.
So I'm cutting them to use in different ways, not just a bunch. But yours I would use as a whole bunch. Yeah. Rage Cage, mimosa flowers are now my favorite flower. Did you do a reaction when I said that?
Maybe. My mouth was already open, and I was about to say, where are my regular mimosas? I'm teasing. That's the next show. You just do brunch bouquets.
Grinning Greg, vampire roses are listed as plant, blood rose in 2nd edition Ravenloft. Okay, I'm going to have to look that up. I think I might actually have that monster compendium. So I'm going to have to look that up after the show.
Right. I'm hoping this looks good. But I don't know why I'm like comparing myself to you. I can only compare myself to my previous floral arrangements, which have been none. So it's both the best and worst I've ever done.
Yeah, I'm really liking the kind of sloped shape that you have here. This rose, I would maybe pull that guy out.
Yeah.
Just because he's sunk very, very deep. And maybe put him in at more of like that angle. You might need to cut the stem again. Or leave it out like that. I mean.
Yeah. Ooh, okay. Yeah, like how far beyond the vase? Like I think I'm probably a little conservative when it comes to that. Like, yeah, this is like a good like 5 to 6 inches from the. Yeah,
you can totally do that and to add dimension to it. And it also depends on the sides here are pretty over the edge, and that doesn't feel so strange since we kind of started with those as frames. If you wanted to make one that's like round from the top, then the ones on the front would be as far out. Very good. Oops. Ooh, TK's talking about their Monsters and Mimosas brunch event at a convention. I don't know if TK would mind if I talked about that a little bit.
I would like to know.
I only heard about it secondhand, though. I was running a game and not able to attend, unfortunately. But it sounded really fun. I'm going to wait to make sure TK's cool with it.
Well, I will say if you're going to be at Emerald City Comic Con in Seattle, March 12th through the 15th, on that Thursday from 5 to 6 p.m., there will be a live Big Dungeon show where we will be playing Dungeons & Dragons.
Yes!
I won't say everyone who's joining us right away, but we do have a couple people from the comics industry, including some people that have written like magic comics.
Ooh.
Maybe the Chandra one. Chandra, excuse me. So, again, I don't want to confirm, but just in case, Vida Ayala. Anyway, because it's a convention, we can get
I'm
some
not going to say, but
I will whisper so loudly. No. So, looks like TK said, no, did not answer. They did not answer.
Uh-oh. But the Willy Boo did ask, how many mimosas do you have to drink before the monsters showed up? So when you wrote Skull Dial and then working on the stuff that you're writing now, what would you say you learned from Skull Dial writing it?
It was because I play tested it a couple times while writing it, which I feel like is a must. But also, and this probably sounds pretty obvious though, but like having other people play test it too, I learned was even better because, you know, you have this image of the story going a certain way possibly, or wanting to create this playground for people, and then you have people that come in and just like not wreck everything, but like they're like let's go kick this door down, and you're like, oh, so okay, like do you make the NPCs then go do stuff? So I think making sure that like there's enough wiggle room for stuff for a DM is helpful. And also I think that like this like Adventures League style, like having some optional side quest stuff or like NPCs that have their own heart, souls, minds, feelings is very important. So, yeah, what was it? We did I wrote some encounters for Beyond the Basics that Jeff Ellis edited. It's on the DM's Guild as well. And that's a lot of fun because, encounters, you can just be like, this can be a 30-minute thing about 2 dinosaurs looking for a hidden egg. Or whatever, and yeah, I feel like if you feel like you're not ready to write an adventure, but you've been a dungeon master for a while, I say with like a flower right up my nose, love it. Try it. You could put in make a couple encounters and string, and then play those together, and then see what your group starts to like weave together in their own mind about what the overarching story could be. So, sorry. Speaking of that, may I plug something else? I'm sorry. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Please.
Sorry.
We're just talking about whatever as we make some flowers.
Again, sorry, this is very Seattle specific, but on Galentine's Day, Thursday, February 13th, I am a guest with the Emerald City Game Masters Guild, and we'll be running a bunch of short 30-minute adventures and encounters over at Rooftop Brewing, and all the money goes towards the Bureau for Fearless Ideas, which is about which helps high school kids get into writing. And so I will be bringing my Daddy Gargoyle adventure, but I know someone else is doing sort of a Star Trek style red shirt meat grinder.
Fun.
Yeah, and then someone's got a Die Hard style, which I guess is probably any tower adventure if you think about it, but Nakatomi Tower style. So yeah, if you were in the Seattle area, and especially are a woman, you come on by. It's a Galentine's Day, but anyone is welcome to play. So, all right. See, Lisa's also perfected the floral arranging and talking at the same time.
Oh.
Whereas I am, as soon as I start flapping my meat gums.
It's hard to multitask. Goodness. Was there anything in Skull Dial, like specifically where you play tested it and you were like, oh, well, duh, yeah, I have to make that change?
Yes, there's a certain character that I needed to add a couple more characters because there was one that was very it was like everyone was like, oh, this person did it every time. So I was like, I must seed this adventure a little bit better. It looks like Willy Boo has a question.
What do they have? Ask.
What does it take to design an adventure for 30 minutes of play? That's super short in my head. Well, that's just it. It's mostly like an encounter.
It's an encounter.
It's basically you solve one question. Sort of like what happened to the flower shop, and then you discover that, someone accidentally ordered a fireball flower arrangement or something, and that's it. Sorry, I'm trying to say
that would be a ball of all red flowers.
There we go. Yeah, I have this huge hole right here. So, yeah, you don't get to do like an A and B plot with a 30-minute adventure. It's mostly sort of just an encounter that everyone's trying to solve, so possibly just you might also focus only on one of the pillars, so just combat, exploration, or role-playing. Would you?
Yeah, I feel like it'd be really difficult to combine combat with, unless it's like just a very, very short social encounter. Because combat, I mean, it depends on the size of the party, I guess, but combat can very easily be 30 minutes.
It could take over.
Yeah. If you're going to do just a combat, though, I feel like a combat with some sort of like special mechanic or other objective you have to do during combat, like you have to save these people who are tied up, or you have X rounds to do something, or the boss has some sort of, if you don't destroy the crystal first, the boss replenishes their hit points or something.
Yeah, having a timed sort of like escape room style mechanic will super help you, because then you can also end it when you want to.
Yeah.
All right. Oops. That's always a good noise. It's cracking. No, it's just the very thick stem. God, I'm gonna have to start designing more floral stuff now in my D&D adventures, because
I want to do an all vampire rose adventure.
Yeah.
Now.
Okay.
Rage Cage says, our group can hardly get focused and start the game in 30 minutes. So true, right? I think TK said that I could talk about their monsters and mimosas. So if I remember correctly, it's like this randomly generated dungeon, but you're a bunch of monsters who are having a party, like a monster mash. But adventurers show up at your party.
Of course.
And so you're exploring through randomly generated rooms. And I think at when they ran it at GameholeCon, recently. Someone was, my goodness, a shadow maybe? Some sort of undead. And they squeezed through a keyhole through a door. And there was a very high level cleric on the other side. So they turn undead, like destroyed them. And they, when you die, you become one of the adventurers. So you could go and fight the party. Or I think what happened in that case was the party of monsters convinced the cleric, or maybe not the cleric, the adventurer, to join them instead. Much to TK's chagrin.
God, isn't that always... Yeah. I was playing a game recently and someone had stacked all their charm. They had a ridiculous amount of charm. And they were able to charm the villain into not leaving, like, during this, like, the big scene. Like, they were going to jump on top of the back of a griffin or something. And so I was like, oh my god, like... And I was like, all right, like, reroll, like, you have to roll for initiative now. And then, like, I was, you know, I played the villain, a very sexy lady. She was just like, come with me, join my cause. And he was like, okay. So, like, all of his friends had to fight him and me. It was a beautiful moment. And I was just like, I had not expected that to happen. I mean, people probably always expect that to happen, but I'm always just like, wow, you didn't care about the objective at all. I love it. Okay, ooh, I might have what's called too much flowers happening now in this area.
No, it's looking good. You're filling in the design really well, and you've got that sloped shape. I feel like you built that.
It does feel like a firework more than I wanted it to, like, and then the tiny, and yours is like...
I wonder, well, mine has a very different shape, right? Yeah. So I've got it, like, up here, or let me turn it around so they can see it. I've got it up here. I've added this, like, really tiny dainty flower, kind of, let me move it this way. It's kind of floating above the arrangement almost. And then it kind of curves down, and I've tried to generate, like, very much like a curved downward side here. I'm wondering if you, do you mind if I
go ahead,
this out? If you take this snapdragon out, maybe the other one, but now that you know you can cut stems shorter, and you added it at that angle, you might feel like you have more of a distinct shape that way.
I will say also we only have 3 minutes. So
we have 3 minutes
so
left?
We should probably,
Oh my goodness.
Sorry.
Okay. This was our first Dungeons and Daisies, everybody. Thank you for joining us. I feel like, did you all learn stuff about floral design, learn stuff about D&D? If nothing else, we got vampire roses out of this.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yes. I feel like I learned a lot. Thank you so much.
Here are lovely flower arrangements. You've been our lovely guest, Jen. Tell people where they can find you. For folks who tuned in the middle, also remind them who you are, what you do.
Oh, yes. I'm a narrative designer and tabletop designer, so you can find me at The Jenya, which I believe is right under my beautiful bouquet right here, on Instagram and Twitter. And every Tuesday night, you can find me at twitch.tv/vvspa, where I host a one-shot, family-friendly RPG game. So thank you so much again, Lysa.
Yay! And I am Lysa Penrose. I'm the brand manager for Dungeon Masters Guild, where you can publish your own D&D adventures. I'm also the social media manager for Dungeons & Dragons, a former floral designer. And I'm the host of Behold Her podcast, a podcast all about women in tabletop RPGs. Look out for an episode called Behold Love coming out on Valentine's Day. We talked to one of the writers of the original Heart Quest Pick Your Path adventures. We talk to folks who are doing D&D one-on-one, and we'll hear an awesome audio story from Luciella Scarlett about being asexual and aromantic in gaming and what that means. But thank you everyone for tuning in.
Oh, one more, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
I also forgot, I'm so sorry. I also have all-women family-friendly podcast that's going on for 3 years called
I'm going to tell Kat.
Called D20 Dames. It's available wherever podcasts are free. Oh my gosh, yes. Thank you. I love you all.
We will see you all again in May, the 5th Friday of the month when there is one, and that happens to be May. So see you then for some more Dungeons and Daisies. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.